Let's now go back to Zimkita Macingwane in the Eastern Cape for an update. What is the latest, Zimkita?
We are coming to you now, Desiree, from the R61 road between Mthatha and Port St. John's. And as you can see there is an accident scene where paramedics and road traffic officers are trying to give some assistance after two vehicles collided, which is a minibus taxi and a sedan. We have been told that the reason for this crash here behind us is speeding, and a call has been made by those in authority for those people who really have to be on the road today as the rain continues. Must please keep to minimum speed limits on the road. And on this R61 road where we are now, it's an area with curves right through to Port St. John's, so it needs extra caution from drivers. We have been told that 6 people have been seriously injured, that these two vehicles crashed. At this stage, it's still to get of the information, trying to find out which vehicle was coming from which direction, as it is unclear, because both vehicles now are in the left-hand lane, which goes to Port St. John's. It was a head-on collision. In pain, there are a lot of them with about 3 of them with head injuries, and some have broken limbs.
You have been traveling around. Tell us how easy or difficult it has been for you.
It has been extremely difficult for us to drive through the rural villages of Libode and Port St. John's because of the conditions of those roads in those areas. And even here on the tarred roads right through to Port St. John's, it's a little bit difficult because on the sides, I don't know if I can just pan to the right hand side so that you can see, this is a road that has trees and rocks just next to the road, and some parts of the R61 now have rocks that are falling off, blocking some lanes of the R61, which makes it extremely difficult for vehicles to pass through at one time, which means people need to be careful and respect each other on the road. But we can't really forget about those hundreds of people from green areas in Port St. John's who have had to be rescued yesterday after torrential rains continued to flood their homes. They are still in the place of safety at a community hall in Port St. John's. And when we come back to you after 11 o'clock, we will be speaking to them, because we are told that a number of organizations have put their hands together to try to give them meals and that they are not in their homes.
Zimkita, comparatively speaking to when we spoke to you earlier, the rain seems to have subsided a bit. Tell us if it has, and has it also subsided in the other areas that were adversely impacted earlier?
The South African Weather Services says the rain is going to stop a bit for about 2 to 3 hours, but it's going to come back in the afternoon. So people still need to be careful and still need to go to places where it's safe so that their lives are not endangered when it continues to rain. In Port St. John's and Libode, it has stopped for a moment now, but it's still very chilly in these areas. So people are asked to remain warm in their respective areas. And the call is being made again now that we are nearing the closure of school today, that those pupils who will be making their way to their respective homes must not cross flooded rivers. They must rather wait in the homes that are available near their schools or call for help. But emergency services are making their way through different villages to offer assistance to anyone who needs their help during this difficult time of heavy rains that are damaging livestock, rural roads and homes of those who are less fortunate.
You started this crossing with reporting on an accident, the footage of which we can see in the background. Do you have a sense of the level of accidents that have taken place this morning as a result of the wet weather?
A number of accidents have been reported by the Eastern Cape Roads and Traffic Department, but they are saying the main reason why there are these crashes on the roads, it's because motorists are not adhering to their call of keeping to the speed limit because it's wet. So obviously it's going to take longer for their vehicles to stop when there is wet conditions like what we are having now. We have also seen around Sbangweni 2 people who were hit by a car. So even people who are crossing the roads are asked to be extra careful and check whether it's because there's the issue of visibility in areas where there is snow and mist. So pedestrians who are crossing must also make sure that they check before they cross, because the motorists are not really having a clear vision when they are driving through those areas with snow and mist. And as you can see, the roads that are passing while we are talking to you, Desiree, they are not really driving slow. So people are not really taking the issue of driving at a slow pace seriously. They are driving at their normal 80 kilometers per hour or 90 for that matter. But now the problem is that in these areas there are also stray animals. And because it's raining, those stray animals are looking for places that are a bit warm to hide. So stray animals is another problem here on these rural roads. So the motorists really have to be careful when they are driving next to these areas.
Zimketa Macingwana is coming to us from the R61 between Mthatha and Port St. John's. Moderate to heavy snow is anticipated in the highlands of the Maluti Range in Lesotho. The government has issued a strong warning to those who will be returning to the highlands from the longer Easter weekend to plan their return trips cautiously to avoid getting trapped in the snow.
Heavy rains and sub-zero temperatures are expected over the long Easter weekend, while moderate to heavy snowfall is expected to cover the highlands of the Lesotho Mountains on Tuesdays and Wednesday. This weather will strongly be felt even further in the lowlands and most parts of Eastern Cape and Free State. But this has not deterred many hawkers during the peak business at Maseru Bridge. He says, "The business has not been as good. I'm not sure if it is due to this cold weather. I heard it is bound to snow, but when I'm dressed like this, the snow stands no chance." In the meantime, a few kilometers from Maseru Bridge, police and immigration officers had their hands full, ensuring that vehicles are roadworthy and all documentation is in order for those who are entering the Republic. Violent service delivery protests in Free State earlier this week had claimed some unsuspecting victims. Just when I tried to avoid the obstacle, someone appeared from nowhere shouting, "Hey, hey," seeing how bloody I look now. Some are hoping things have calmed down. I heard of the unrest, and it has caused great panic to motorists using the routes in the areas around Marquard. We are still skeptical of those routes. Freezing temperatures are anticipated tonight and some days to come, while Easter holiday traffic is also expected to peak as many return to work. Rabelang Khatebe, SABC News, Masego Lesotho.